In this video, we're going to learn how to sprawl. So if you get into a self-defense situation or a street fight, one of the most common ways someone's going to attack you is that they're going to try to take you to the ground. They're going to grab you in a bear hug, or they're going to kind of duck underneath one of your punches and grab your legs, or they're just going to get a hold of you and try to pull you to the ground where they can use their larger size or their larger strength to beat you. One of your most important goals in a self-defense situation is to avoid going to the ground. Now, I know that there are some people who study wrestling or jiu-jitsu and they say, oh, I prefer to be on the ground. The problem is that in the real world, there's a lot of problems on the ground. You know, the pavement could be hard, there could be glass, there could be obstacles like a curb that you can break your back on. So as a general rule, I say try to stay off the ground as much as possible, unless you're absolutely sure that there's no one else around. And the best way to stay off the ground is with a technique called the sprawl, and that's what I'm going to show you now. The way the sprawl works is that when a guy drops down to grab my waist or to grab my knees, what I want to do is drop my body weight and throw my hips back and my legs back so that he can't get a hold of them. So if I'm here and a guy shoots in and tries to grab my waist or my legs, I want to drop down and put my elbows on the top of his body, and I want to throw my hips and legs back like that. This makes it extremely difficult for him to get a hold of anything because I'm dropping all of my weight and throwing it away from him. When I do this, I want to do it quickly, like a reflex. He comes in and I just drop my weight, I throw my legs back, I'm pushing him into the ground, he can't grab me, and then I can get back up and I'm ready to defend myself. I like to practice this move using a heavy bag like this because it simulates the pressure that I put on the person when he comes into me and the angle that I'm at when I drop my legs back. But you don't have to do that. If you don't have a bag, you can use a couch. You can just get in front of the couch and drop your weight and throw your legs back. Or you don't have to use a heavy bag at all. But you can also just practice this on the ground. So go out on the grass, or if you have an exercise mat, you can use that. Bend your legs. When the person shoots in, you drop your weight. In this case, I'm going to put my hands on the mat and throw your legs and your hips back. And then you come back when it's safe to get back up. The very best way to do this is that when I throw my legs back, I want to point the tops of my feet into the ground as opposed to being on my toes. It makes it that much harder for my opponent to get leverage and try to reach around and grab my legs. If I was just using my toes may kind of provide friction and he may be able to grab my legs. So the best way is to put the tops of your feet down to the ground. But in a real situation, you just do what you have to do. 90% of it is keeping your elbows down to press him down and throwing your hips back and your legs back and putting all your body weight onto the guy. One of the best UFC fighters that kind of popularized this sprawling technique was a guy named Chuck Liddell. And he kind of created this idea called Sprawl and Brawl. He was a tall guy and he liked to throw punches. He didn't want to be wrestling on the ground. So anytime opponents came at him and tried to take him to the ground to take away his reach advantage, he would sprawl and then he'd get back to his feet as quickly as possible. So he didn't want to get tangled up with grappling. He wanted to sprawl and get back to brawling. One of the things I really like about the sprawl and brawl technique is that while Chuck used it for the MMA ring because it suited his fighting style, it applies directly to real life situations. In the real world, you don't want to be on the ground. You want to sprawl and brawl. So when someone comes at you, you want to drop your weight, throw your hips back, drop your legs so that you can get back up and protect yourself. Maybe so you can run away, maybe so you can defend yourself against other attackers.